Now, the rest of the story.
And as the intro says, welcome back to the rest of the story. Well, I'm going to address questions that tend to come up, well, not a lot, but they've been showing up here a little bit more frequently here lately. So I'm assuming we have some newer viewers that need to be caught up on some of the goings on around here. And a lot of them, for the most part, are pertaining to the dairy. Why did we get out of dairy? What would it take for us to get back into dairy? Well, I'll try to address these as thoroughly as I can, and we'll just go from there. First and foremost, my grandpa, when he really started farming, he has always been in dairy. Basically, from the day he started, the day he bought, truck's making noises. From the day that he bought the place where I live, he's always milked cows. He's always been in the dairy industry, and he said that he would die milking cows, and he got his wish. Granted, I'm the one that was milking them the last 4 years, but we were still milking on these farms up until he died. So the problem is, as everybody knows, the dairy industry has been a pretty well downward spin for the last few years. I think it was back when I was in college was the last time that the dairy prices were like over $20 a hundredweight, and they haven't been that high since. I think they're bouncing anywhere from 11 to like 16, depending on the year and everything. Well, the problem is that the dairy industry really wasn't all that profitable. So the thing with dairy is that it is very labor intensive. Now, the work really wasn't the end of the world. The only problem is that we were doing a lot of work for essentially nothing. We weren't really getting paid appropriately for the amount of work we were doing. And really none of our family had any desire to keep milking cows when Grandpa died. Now, here's the thing to add. When Grandpa died, we did not get the equipment, we did not get the cows, we got the land. That was the only thing that was really willed to us, and we weren't given all the land either. I mean, it's a set price. So the reason we had an equipment sale is because the equipment belonged to Grandpa's estate, and Grandpa's estate decided to sell the equipment. The funny thing about that is that in the end, the equipment, it really didn't hurt us at all to sell the equipment. The corn planter would have been nice. That was a 1750. It was a nicer, newer corn planter. The 4440, the 7400. But really, the lion's share of that equipment was shot. It was a lot of hang equipment between the choppers and chopper boxes. A lot of ins and outs. And when it comes to the equipment overall, we really didn't mind seeing the equipment go out the driveway. It allowed us to go through and buy a bunch of the equipment that we need, that we would like to have around here. Point in case, that 4440, that was a really nice tractor. I would have liked to have kept it. Problem is, it went for like 28 grand, and we bought the 4640 for less than what the 4440 was sold for. And here's the thing, with the 44, when Grandpa went and bought that, he bought it brand new. Dad was here, and Dad was trying really hard to convince my grandpa to go with the 4640. And my grandpa didn't feel that he wanted to buy a tractor that didn't have the 540 PTO available. And he ended up going with the 4440. It was a smaller tractor, smaller frame, but he was able to put it on a small square baler. And he did that for quite a few years. I think all the way up until like 2010, 2008, 2009. And then we ended up dropping down to the 4230 because the engine gave, because we were always breaking shear pins on the 4440. But the perk about that is that it allowed us to go buy what Dad had really wanted in the first place. Dad wanted a 4640. The 4640 is a better fit for us. It pulls the chisel plow better, and it just works. And The dairy cows, they ended up going out the driveway about a month. I think it was March 8th, a month after Grandpa died. Didn't bother any of us one bit. Now, that sounds kind of heartless, but the problem is, when it comes to dairy, and I got to be careful how I say this because I do know there's people out there. We just met a individual here this past weekend where they're out of milking, but they would love to go back to milking cows. The problem is that's not us. We have no desire to go back to milking cows. You're attached to those cows 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It doesn't matter if you're 2 coughs from death or have some great plans or somebody's wedding. Somebody's got to milk the cows, and you can try to find hired help to milk, but trying to find decent, reliable, hired help that's going to do all the chores and milk the cows exactly how they need to be milked is extremely hard. Granted, I don't know how many times my grandma and grandpa ever had somebody else milk for them. I mean, I know they had their kids milk for them when they were living at home. Myself, I think out of the 4 years that I milked, I think I only had maybe 10 days total that I had off. And like a quarter of those days that I wasn't milking, I was on the brink of death. It felt like the days that I was sick. Otherwise, really don't have time off. There's a lot of management that goes into milking cows, and the money just isn't there. I mean, you got to be really tight with your budget. You really got to watch where the money's going, and your cost of production really comes into play as to how much milk you can produce for the cheapest cost to produce it. So that's taking into your fuel to produce your feed, or if you're buying your feed, your fuel, your inputs, your different chemicals and supplies you need to milk the cows, just the wide array of everything that you need. And the problem is, all of us were ready to be out of milking long before they left. We're over it. We're making more now. We make more now in a year doing corn and soybeans than what Grandpa was making in the last 5 to 10 years. 10 years might be a stretch, maybe up to 5 years that Grandpa was milking. I mean, we used to milk a lot of cows. We used to milk between 3 different farms back in the 70s and 80s, and I think in the late 80s, early 90s is when the numbers really started to taper off. Oh no, it might have been mid 90s, because I remember being around and seeing all of our farms producing milk at one point in time. So I mean, at least less than 30 years ago. But we used to milk, what, 300 head of cows, and then it finally just dwindled down, people getting out of it, family members not wanting to do it anymore, and there's no denying it. The dairy industry is really hard to get into anymore, and it's really hard to really stay in it. I don't remember the statistic right now, but the number of dairy farms in Wisconsin is dropping year over year pretty consistently, and at a very alarming rate from what I understand. Now the thing is, we like raising crops. We like raising corn, soybeans, alfalfa. We like cattle, beef cattle, not dairy, and they treat us really good. Beef cattle pretty much take care of themselves. You go out, check them, make sure they're in the pastures, you make sure they don't have any new calves. That's the routine that is going on a lot here lately that you guys, I don't think, are seeing a whole lot, because let's be honest, when it comes to showing the things around here, we do see on our statistics, as far as the videos go, the videos that have to pertain with cows really don't do that well. I mean, people do watch them, but not as much as they do with the equipment or the crops, the management of everything that goes on around here, mechanics to, well, all around field work. So as far as the dairy cows leaving, it was a huge relief for us. It was actually a big favor, because they were part of Grandpa's estate. We did not, and here's the kicker about it, we did not, or as far as my family goes, decide to get rid of the cows. That was Grandpa's estate that said that the cows are going. And there were no complaints from us because we wanted to see them gone. It's changing the times. And as far as what it would honestly take to get us back into milking cows, it would honestly take being able to milk 12 months out of the year and being able to turn in a decent profit every month. There's so much penny pinching that goes into milking cows. It's exhausting. And I'm not talking about raising, milking several hundred head of cattle. We were milking anywhere from 50 all the way up to 300, I mean, at the farm's peak. And honestly, I have no desire to go back to that. Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, snow blowing, snowing, and 50 degrees below zero here not that long ago, 2 months. You still have to go out and milk in that stuff, and I don't miss it. All of our facilities are shot. They are worn out. They are outdated. As far as our stanchion barn goes, the one that I was milking in, that should have been a parlor probably 20 years ago. Back when I was in college, this field out here beyond the corn crib, there was some really serious talk about putting in a freestall barn and then getting really heavy into milking cows. Dodged a bit of a bullet there. And looking back, it was kind of a big sigh of relief that we didn't pursue that more. Where we're at now, we're all really happy as far as doing the crops, growing our beef herds, growing our crop acres. We're actually up like 5 or 10 acres from last year. I mean, I let one piece go just because I really just didn't want it. And then I ended up picking up an even better piece that was actually significantly closer to home. So that really worked out in my favor. Management is a big thing around here. It always is when it comes to doing business, and that's really what we're doing. A large part with the grain bins and everything. It allows you to market your grain better, and it's taking advantage of that. Milking cows, I know there's still people out there that enjoy doing it, but it's becoming such a thing where I call them big factory operations, where they're milking several thousand cows 3 times a day. I have no desire to really be part of that. If other people like that are willing to milk cows in that degree, they can have it. I mean, I'm really not going to fight for it. So, yes, we didn't have any say when it comes to the dairy cows leaving, when it comes to the equipment being sold. That was all Grandpa's estate deciding to sell all that. In the end, I can't stress this enough. We bought back what was worth buying back. We bought the spreader, we bought the disc vine, we bought an auger, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But we got it all at a good price, otherwise we wouldn't have bought it. I think that disc vine went for like $7,000. That 735 I think went for $7,000 or $8,000, or it might have been $7,500, and that's like an $18,000 implement that we got for dirt cheap. At least we felt. So feeling really good about that. It would have been nice to keep the 7400, but I still have my 76. A loader tractor would have been nice. We had the 74 and we had a 4020 with the loader on it. The 4020 with the 2-wheel drive and the loader on it was pretty much useless when it come to getting in any kind of mud or any kind of terrain issues. I mean, it was really good just for putting bales out for the cows, and that was about it. So especially once the 7400 came around, that 4020 became obsolete. So getting rid of all of Grandpa's equipment opened the door up for a lot better equipment. It really did. The combine, we had that back when we were milking, but that was my dad's. And the 630 was mine, the 76 was mine. Corn planter, we had a junk 7200 corn planter for a couple of years, and then we ended up updating to the 12 row. which was a great purchase in itself too for what we got. So I hope this answers some of your questions. I guarantee you I'll probably end up doing another video like this, just, you know, to keep everybody up to date, because either people forget or we got new viewers that just need to be brought up to speed, which is perfectly fine. The rest of the story is, it's going to be around for a while yet. I don't have any plans for stopping, so I mean, it's just being courteous to all of our new viewers just to get everybody up to speed. The rest of the story, if you guys are hearing the guy at the beginning of the video, that is Paul Harvey. He is the inspiration for my channel name. That's where I got it from, was from Paul Harvey, the rest of the story. He used to do daily, well, he had a daily story time at noon every day. I remember quite vividly raking hay on these farms, on these strips, raking hay and listening to Paul Harvey, and that was just a really good inspiration as far as my channel name. So I don't know, I like listening to Paul. So all right, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. It's getting kind of late, it's getting kind of cold out, and I got a bunch of stuff I got to do yet. We're gradually getting things done around here. For those of you that are still watching the video, but the 46 has to get pulled out, and the 82, and the corn planter is probably going to be within the next handful of videos. I think we're going to be hauling manure tomorrow. We'll have to see. I'm not entirely certain on that yet. The silo's giving us some issues again. Yes, believe it or not. The sweep, we noticed that when we fixed the silo the last time, that the sweep, the bearing was going out, or a seal. The seal was starting to, either a seal or bearing was starting to give us issues on the gearbox that controls the sweep in the silo. So we have to address that. But it's just all in a day's work on the farm. So before I keep talking some more and make this video ever so longer, I'm going to end it, and if I have to, I guess I'll just start a new video. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.